Hey everyone, welcome back to the Fleetway Sonic experience. And folks, last episode we had a great time, didn't we? A great story, the Metallix, the Metallix, whatever you want to call them. Fantastic work, highs, all the while, and we had a great time, and I was really looking forward to what was coming up immediately after. So, what exactly are we dealing with? Well, on the count of three. 3, 2, 1, mid. That's right, folks. That's right. Listen, the comic book industry is one of highs and lows. We can all agree with that, right? We can agree that when you do this like high stakes story, you generally want immediately after something that's a little bit more low bar, something to like cool off tensions and then build back up for the next thing, right? Yes. Here's the thing though. Nigel Kitching takes that principle on like an academic level, by which I mean the story is so flatline, so like not really much stakes of really anything.
And I'm gonna be completely honest, in 90% of these stories, nothing happens. There's like one story where something happens. One that has a significant effect on the rest of the comic, but that's it. There's nothing else. You can't sit here and fucking tell me that this shit is okay. This is the core problem that we talked about previously. This comic, now more than ever, after a great set of issues where it felt like the story was moving and we had plot go, it's just like, and then it's just like,
now we're back to basics. And look, that's not necessarily something wrong per se. That's the right thing to do. It's just that when you're at the low point, you still want it to be interesting. That's the problem. All right.
Well, okay. We're going to try and power through this because I know you were probably like, I don't have much to say. And frankly, I don't really think there is much to say except for one comic in particular that has a lot of implications for the rest of the series.
Yes. So we'll start off with our first issue, actually a big issue, the Knuckles Knockout Special. After the last, we basically got a Kindle, back and forth. Now we have a full Knuckles story. And folks, not going the direction I thought it would. I'll just leave it at that.
Also, I'm looking at the archive.org version of this comic, and I'm looking at the first page, and they call them Welcome KFC Supporters, and they're calling it the Knuckles Fan Club.
Nice. So, what are his 11 herbs and spices?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I mean, hey, they gotta be, growing some good shit on the floating island. Come on.
Curious.
Speaking of which, our first story in this special, done by Nigel Kitching and the art by White. Knuckles. We open on him, the guardian of the floating island. He looks upon the sky, wondering when his long-lost people will be returning to their home. Until behind him, a glow hovers over him, the glow of the Omniviewer dropping off the Chaotix right in front of him. Unfortunately, the boys did not come for a visit. They're here to wrap up a loose end, that being Knack. After he got attacked by the Metallix, the Chaotix took him home to the special zone and started serving a sentence in a prison hospital. He recovered pretty fast and escaped 3 weeks ago. And they've been hunting him down since. Last we heard, he fought a treasure map to find the lost pyramid of Sandopolis. And Knuckles is like, oh yeah, that's definitely here, but And with Knuckles' permission, the Chaotix will find Knack there. And so, as he gives them permission, Knuckles also asks to go along with them to go to Sandopolis. And once they arrive, they find Knack's ship parked outside the pyramid. But last Knuckles remembered, this was buried deep under the stand the last time Sonic was here. But they do wonder how Knack got through the force field. But they just kind of wave it away by saying he's just a technical wizard. So the doors open. They go inside trying to find Knack, and they get ambushed by one of the ghosts haunting the pyramid. Charmy asks if they can hurt them, but the ghost's arm passes through Espio's chest, and at the very least we can see he is very unnerved by that, which I do not blame you. His body is quite chilled.
Bro got sent to the Shadow Realm. He felt his life flash before his eyes.
Ooh. Knuckles tells them to run towards the light. The ghosts can't exist under that. And once they're there, the ghosts fade away, and find their guy Knack next to some coffin and got him cornered. Then that is kind of where like it cuts off, and it starts off like after some other pages to the second half of the story, which goes, Knuckles remembers that the last time that he was here in this pyramid, the room was flooded with sand and filled with treasure. What's the deal, buddy? Well, for one thing, you are standing on that sand, and the treasure, Knack stuffed into a chest right over there, which Knuckles finds it unbelievable considering that the room was filled with it. Not exactly possible. Knack here has this sort of gun thing. He points it to a sarcophagus, and it shrinks down to pocket size, and puts it in his treasure chest. Once he gets everything back to the hideout, he'll enlarge it back. It's worth more like that, you know?
A little bit. Just a little.
And with that, Knack takes his leave, leaving behind Knuckles and the Chaotix with a golem that was left behind centuries ago, and Knack woke it up and reprogrammed it to serve him. As he's about to leave, Knack realizes that he left the shrinking gun behind in the middle of the room as the golem is going wild, taking out SVO, Vector, and Mighty. Knuckles can't do much to damage it. These Guardians were built to be indestructible. Mighty tries to hold it all back as the Guardian just takes him and chucks him towards the group until Knuckles finds Knack's shrinking gun and he shoots it, the golem, to bring it down to like figurine size. Can't give us more trouble like that.
Okay, so the only thing that went through my mind in this instance was, that's a little version of me. I want you to have it. I don't want this.
Can I have it? Sure, I guess.
Whatever, man. It's your gift. You can do whatever you want with it.
They run outside to find Knack about to take off in his ship, and Charmy can fly fast enough to keep up, but he can't get into the cockpit. The Knuckles still has the shrinking gun, and it assumes it can restore objects to their original size. So point blank, fires, and once it hits, the treasure overgrows and causes the ship to explode. Knack is caught by Mighty as the stolen treasure dusts the desert. The Chaotix arrest Knack, bring him into Omni's screen. It's all done and dusted as far as the Chaotix is concerned, so they're gone. As Knuckles just looks around, all the treasure is left on the dirt. It's just like, oh great, now I have to put this all back.
Wow, how could they do him like this? That's the story. There's one more. I think two more. Yeah, in this special.
I mean, this was pretty good.
No. It was comfy. It was comfy. Like there's nothing wrong with it. Also, I mean, it's pretty obvious that this was around the time that the Sega 32X was coming out. So of course they're like, yeah, do a Knuckles special, do chaotic stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely. Story B with Kitching and White once again. So it's nighttime at the Mushroom Hill Zone. A lone egg robo is sneaking into the Emerald Hill refugee village. Reaching into an open window, its internal power supply nearly exhausted, it needs a different source of energy as it reaches for a sleeping child. And people in the village witness the badnik reaching into a window, and when they call it out, it flies up into the sky and disappears. So the mom in this house sees that her kid Jake was kidnapped by a badnik. So the people call Knuckles. As the guardian, he'll know what to do. We then skip later. Knuckles is tracking down the egg robo in the desert. It's probably headed towards the lava reef zone, and his suspicions were correct. The badnik is there, but the kid is nowhere to be seen. So Knuckles grabs the robo, holds it down, but it counters and throws Knuckles off. He lands, barely missing a vent spewing lava from the ground, forcing himself back up to scramble its circuits and crack you open, Eggo. He gets a good hit in, and one more he could get Jake out of there, but it stands over a vent and takes the full brunt of an open flame. It overheats and explodes, all before Knuckles could do anything. So Knuckles kind of goes back to the village, a tail between his legs, returning to the mom. He doesn't have the words to tell her what happened to her son until Jake just walks out of his room in his PJs. He said he was able to struggle free from the badnik and hid in the closet all night, but he heard shouting and he got scared and didn't want to come out. Well, with that being said, the mom asked Knuckles, well, what did you want to say, Knuckles? And he says, it's nothing important. It's all good. I mean, you know what? That is like legit terror in Knuckles' heart. So you know what? They didn't really do a good job conveying that in my opinion, but all right, I get it.
Okay, I guess.
So that's that story done, and our final story for this issue, Kitching and White once again. So Knuckles is strolling through the refugee village, and one of the villagers welcomes him in, but this Knuckles shoves him out of the way and suddenly begins to demolish the homes and buildings, saying the floating island belongs to him. You must recognize who your master is, and calls them his slaves. Then another Knuckles comes in running, holding something covered in a tarp, saying, don't listen to this guy, he's an imposter. Knuckles tells the fake Knuckles, get off my island, one chance, and the fake responds by knocking him out. He passes the tarp off to a villager to properly engage the faker, asking if he really thought he could take my place. And the fake is like, yeah, sure. I'm a perfect duplicate. I even had your memories. The important difference is I pack a better punch, and sends Knuckles flying again. And so Knuckles is now passed out fully. And this fake Knuckles tells the villagers you have 1 hour to decide your fate. Live as my slaves or die. Then as he's gone, Knuckles just shoots back up and says, look, we were evenly matched. If the fight went all out, we would have been here for hours and you guys could have gotten hurt. So the villager is just like, hey man, what's going on here? What's the deal? And Knuckles says earlier he came across an old package and unwraps it to reveal a mirror. And we see bro, he's like checking him out and it's all cool stuff. He's a cool guy until his reflection starts acting out of sync and passes through the mirror into the real world. Only after that, Knuckles reads the note and says that this mirror was a prison for evil spirits. A spirit possessed his reflection and escaped. Well, for one thing, I feel like didn't Fleetway do something like this before?
They already did a story like this.
Yeah.
They did this with Sonic. They did this with Sonic in the Extra Life, remember?
Yeah, right, the Extra Life. But I also feel like a mirror was relevant somewhere else. Oh yeah, there was a mirror that transported Tails to like some nightmare zone or something like that. Oh man. Oh, Kitching. Oh no. Oh no.
Okay, just keep going,
Anyway, he brought the mirror back and tells the villagers his plan. Fake Knuckles comes back and says, what is your answer? As Knuckles pops around saying, nope, we have unfinished business. The fake is surprised to see Knuckles is still alive, and they just chase each other around the building. Fake Knuckles makes a turn. He sees Knuckles saying, oh, you're impressed you turned around to fight. And when he flies in to engage, he passes through the mirror, tricking and trapping himself in the prison once again. For good measure, Knuckles shatters that mirror to pieces. It's a pity. Would have looked cracking in my bedroom. Pun, British moment. Great way to end the book by reusing an idea. No offense, Kitching. I understand, but like, come on, man. Come on, man.
Alright, okay. Well, that's the Knuckles special done. I don't have anything to say. I really don't.
Play Knuckles Chaotix on the Sega 32X. Don't play it. It's not a good game.
Small British children, please play our game.
Oh, I mean, it's not a bad game, but it's not like amazing either.
I don't even think it's bad necessarily. It's a video game. It exists.
Sure is a video game. You know what? Actually, this is a funny aside. You remember how in like OG Evangelion, Shinji and Asuka had to like sync up to use their fucking mechas and shit like that? They should have played Knuckles Chaotix to get the sync.
That is the most ridiculous idea I've ever seen.
Well, you know what? Fuck it. Sega was, an IP holder. They could have forced them to do that.
They really could have. They could have forced them to do a lot of fucking things.
Sega in the 90s, at least they valued art. Anyway, that aside, done. Let's move on to the main comics now. We got nothing but main comics from here on out, folks, with Sonic the Comic. Issue number 74, our first story brought to us by Stringer and art by Corona. Sonic, Amy, and Johnny, they arrive to the Metropolis Zone. Johnny thinking if it was smart to come here, but Sonic's like, yeah, man, Brutus has gone AWOL. Robotnik can't deal with the reduced manpower until they get spotted overhead by Badniks, and they engage, obviously, smashing left, right, and center. And Sonic quips to a Badnik, excuse my sarcasm, my dude, but could you bozos give me a challenge and try something unexpected for once? My pleasure, outlaw. And a trooper hits Sonic back in the head with a pipe. So Sonic and Johnny are now being held down, and Sonic calls Amy to get out of there. They're outnumbered. And while she escapes, the troopers just call it a wash. They got 2 of the captives that the Doctor will be very pleased with. And of course, meanwhile, Robotnik and Grimer can't find Brutus's whereabouts until Sonic and Johnny are both marched into his office. And obviously Robotnik is overjoyed to see them captured, thinking they've lost their touch if they can get captured so easily. And Johnny quips, yeah, well maybe this was our intention, fathead. Until an intruder alarm blares, and there's somebody in the info center. And on that note, Sonic and Johnny's just like, all right, I think this is our time to call it quits. Next time, offer us tea and biscuits, all right? They break the troopers down, Sonic saying that they've allowed themselves to be captured as a distraction to let Amy into the info center and swipe valuable information as we speak.
Yeah, I think this is something that is exclusive to Fleetway. Amy is a hacker.
Which I know that's also more Porker's role, but like we're gonna get into a little situation there. So I think Amy getting more into his territory is going to be what we're going to be seeing moving forward.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily have an issue with this. It's just okay.
Yeah, that's unique. I like it. I like it.
It's something.
We see her taking that info from the computer, stealing details about the newest weapon, and she's just about to delete the files to set Robotnik back, but gets caught just before pushing delete. In the office, they hear over loudspeaker that Amy's been caught, and so Robotnik gloats, "Looks like your plan has failed, Spikeball." Alright, Sonic says, time to get out, but the exit is blocked by deadly lasers. Sonic decides we should probably take a non-traditional exit, and he and Johnny break through an air vent. Johnny is a little worried about being followed, but in Robotnik's case, fat chance, Sonic says. And in the center, Amy is now being held down, barely being able to reach for a crossbow, and fires away from the troopers to the computer. The PC's destroyed just as Sonic and Johnny find their way through the vents. Alright, troopers are destroyed, job done, let's split out of here. And as they fly away, they cheer about a big hit to Robotnik. They gave the old dome a major headache. That's the end of that story, and they did steal some info from Robotnik. That is like valuable stuff. It's just that my guess is this is not going to be followed up on. Maybe, I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows? Maybe it'll be followed up on, but it certainly won't be followed up on in this issue and the next issue. I don't fucking know, man.
Well, what's the B story, folks? Well, of course we have more Knuckles, but it's a joint affair this time once again. Kitching and Dobbin are creative team. And while it's a Knuckles story, we actually open on Captain Plunder.
This is okay. So I do want to say something. I like Captain Plunder. He's kind of fun.
No, I do. I agree. I agree 100%.
He's like, so like in the world of Fleetway, he feels like the weird anomaly side character that's just fucking around doing his own thing, and sometimes he intersects with the main cast, and it's always like generally led to some okay stories. This Knuckles side story gets into some like, what the fuck is going on shit.
And it's not even Echidna lore either, which is funny.
No, there is no Echidna lore here. It's just random ass lore that they just decided, okay, we're just gonna come up with on this.
And honestly, like, this very easily could have been Echidna lore. That's the funny thing.
It's so funny because the writing, especially later on, is like, damn, they really just could have called this the Ancient Walkers, and it would have been like very Pender's core.
You know, you're absolutely right, but, you know, we're getting ahead of ourselves, folks. We're getting ahead of ourselves. Captain Plunder, his crew, they're brave in a storm, and they've gone too far to turn tail and told by Flitch to look ahead. Well, they finally found it. They found what they're looking for, the ghost ship of Tentaragor. But the moment's lost. A lightning strike hits their mast, and they're going down. The crew shouts that there's land, but they're way too high up for there to be any land nearby, unless that's actually the floating island. Meanwhile, the Mushroom Hill refugee village, Knuckles is asked for Porker's help to study ancient Echidna technology, but he can't make any sense of it. Porker can't figure it out, so Knuckles is now kind of at a loss. He won't be able to get the floating island systems back online after, you know, the whole incident that happened earlier.
Yeah, yes.
Knuckles admits that he actually doesn't have any ancient diagrams for really anything. He's just guessing most of the time and just works from there. If he could at least get the force field back up, he could protect the Emerald Hill folk.
Bro is doing the IT classic of asking questions to the most basic shit and diving down the rabbit hole.
Did you turn it on and off again, Knuckles? Did that work?
Did you clear cache and cookies? Did you delete the user data? Did you check the security settings?
Is your mouse plugged in? That's very common.
The common one, bro.
But anyway, stepping outside, Knuckles does admit they made quite a village for them out here. And one of the folks comes by and tells Knuckles a ship landed to the east on the island, and he assumes that it's Robotnik, goes to check it out. By himself, Porker admits that since the whole Metallix situation, the whole adventuring thing, not for me anymore. And when Knuckles finds the ship, he is not too pleased to see Captain Plunder. And when he sees Knuckles, he's like, old mate, this is good fortune. I be needing a little favor. And that's where this part ends. So we're kind of on an interesting note, I think.
Oh, also, why the fuck is Porker in the village? That's asking questions in your head. We'll save it for a little bit later. Alright, now we get to the worst part of this whole fucking segment, which is the stuff with Tails. Oh my god, I fucking hate Tantrum. What an awful fucking character.
Even though that's his purpose, man, they kind of did fumble with this story. We're getting ahead of ourselves once again. Story D, Stringer and Flint. Tails and Tantrum. They are escaping gunfire from their pursuer, and then Tails jumps down the hole. He's fine, no thanks to you. You're supposed to keep me safe, Tantrum says. I tried to warn you about the potholes, but... And then he just starts screaming, I don't want to hear no excuses. I want to go home. And now he's just screaming and crying at the top of his lungs. And the screaming is enough to cause a collapse in the cave. And on top of that, he blames Tails for that. And at this point, Tails is just too exhausted. Is like, I don't even want to deal with you, kid. And just trying to find a way to lead him out. At least we can get away from the bounty hunter. Speaking of, we see Fleabite not giving up his headhunting, able to hunt them down with a heat scanner. Down below, Tails and Tantrum are making their way out, walking over a lava bridge. And Tails thinks that this is where the Badniks would normally be found. Jinxed it! A caterpillar is blocking their path, and Tails really wishes this is a time where he was wrong. Tails doesn't really know how to fight it, and Tantrum breaks from Tails, calls him useless, and runs back towards a dead end. Now he really doesn't have time for this. And while Tails can't do a spin attack, he can twist the body up and make it tangle itself. On top of that, the ball just rolls off the bridge and into the lava. And just then, Tails hears Tantrum screaming behind, having slipped off the bridge and dangling over the lava, begging for help. Tails is a little offended that he was just called useless and now being begged for help, but he's got to do the right thing. He swoops in and saves him. Between the struggling from Tantrum, though, and the heat is making Tails a little dizzy, he can't sustain flight for long. They lose altitude and now are falling headfirst into the lava. Well, at least that's a way to keep the stakes going.
I guess. This motherfucker never shuts up. Holy fuck.
But yeah, that's issue 74 done. And folks, we have made it to another milestone issue, issue 75, although it really does not feel like it.
It's just a thing.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Maybe I'm not being completely fair. Maybe the British comics don't have that same structure that the American comics do. I'm putting unfair expectations. Maybe I am. So let's go along with it. Sonic 75, our first story, done by our goats Kitching and Elson. We follow a kid bear by the name of Smokey. He lives in Metropolis. In the days before Robotnik took over, this was a very nice place to live, and goes into an abandoned building where he used to go swimming. Inside, he meets with a badnik who he seems to have befriended, calling it an old buddy. But Smokey hears something and goes to check it out, finding Sonic had broke into the building on the trail of a badnik. You seen anything, kid? Nope. But the two are ambushed by a trooper squad, and Sonic tells the kid to run. It's me they want. So he runs, goes back to his badnik friend, says, we gotta get out of here. If Sonic finds you, it's all over for us. But Sonic took out the troopers easy and heads to find Smokey, with him next to the badnik. And Sonic's like, alright kid, listen to me. Just back away from the badnik slowly, but before he has a chance to explain, they get ambushed by one last trooper Sonic missed. Sonic takes it out easy too, but notices Smokey was shoved into the shell of the badnik, so after the trooper, he turns around for the sole badnik. And as Sonic comes face to face with it, Smokey pops out of the shell, saying, Sonic, no, listen, this badnik is my friend, he was protecting me. And that is something Sonic genuinely cannot believe. The badniks, that's not how that normally works. But he stands his ground. If you want to destroy him, you'll have to go through me. And then there's like this one little panel of Sonic, determination in his eyes. But we kind of skip from there. We skip outside. Smokey was cornered by two troopers. They were told that he has information on a missing badnik. He does, but with tears in his eyes says, don't bother. It was found by Sonic and smashed. All badniks are to be smashed. No exceptions. And the troopers do walk away. Smokey goes back into the alley and tells the badnik he can come out now. And he asks, well, alright, what do you want to do today? Which the badnik responds, I don't really mind anything. And Smokey's surprised that he can talk, but he just says he never asked him before. I guess that's a cute story, although there's like a little bit of considering how badniks works, there's a lot of horror implications to be had there. Maybe Sonic did the wrong thing.
Jesus, man.
I think we'll carry on back with the Knuckles story in Kitching and Dobbing. Knuckles has brought Plunder and his crew onto the floating island's control room. He's now flying the island once again. The fact he can do this is still insane to me.
Bro is just piloting it like it's a fucking car or like a ship. It's so fucking stupid, man. I can't help but love it.
I respect it greatly. Well, they come to find what Plunder came across, the ghost ship of Tantaragor. So now Knuckles has him where he wants him. Give me the plans to the floating island you say you have. Remember, they're just the thing I need to repair the technical system? But Plunder says, oh no, listen, I don't have them on me, they're on my hideout. I do have it, I promise I'm good for it. I got it after robbing a ship headed out from the island. It's how I got the map to the lost pyramid of Sandopolis, after all. Now, Let's get topside and get that ship. The crew plus Knuckles make their way aboard the ghost ship. Plunder insists Knuckles shouldn't have come along, but he is suspicious about all this. One of the scouts tell Plunder no one's aboard, so they're just looting. And fast. Plunder thinks they could be back any minute now. And Knuckles is like, wait, what do you mean they? I thought you said the ship was deserted. Well, that's kind of true. Flitch phases through a wall, tells Plunders and Knuckles that they found what he was looking for. This way. And inside, more deeper in, Plunder sees what he calls the Tentaragor idol. And upon taking it, he immediately hears the screams of his crew. And as he turns around and finds them, they're being held hostage by some golden-looking creatures, intending to take them all as their slaves. There's a lot of this going on.
I have no fucking clue.
We've only just gotten started, and to go quickly with the tail stuff, Stringer and Flint, so their pursuer, Fleabite, he's starting to lose the trail on the two. Wherever they are, it must be mighty hot. We see him near the lava pool, falling closer and closer, and end up getting swooped up by some spider-looking badniks just before hitting the lava. They're brought into a nearby cave, and the two spiders, disagree on how to eat them, suck their bits out through a web cocoon, or just eat them straight up and save the leftovers. But in the disagreement, the Tails and Tantrum just kind of sneak away. As they give him the slip, Tantrum screams, demands to be taken home, but Tails just says, hey, be quiet. You kind of have a habit of getting us into danger. But Tantrum says, well, what do you mean? You're the hero. You should know how to get us out.
I hope this kid fucking perishes. Jesus Christ, shut the fuck up.
Jesus Christ, kid. If Tantrum says anyone can do it, it's you, Tails. You can save us from anything. And Tails is weirded out as how this kid can basically go from 0 to 100 from whining to hero worship. Wonder if that's how I sound to Sonic. Tails, my buddy, you are nowhere near this bad. Do not be self-conscious. A while later, the two find a hole with daylight breaking, so they begin to climb up. And Tails warns Tantrum, watch yourself. This place was obviously built by Robotnik, so look out for traps. Which then, Tantrum steps on a button, the walls are starting to close in, and Tails has to rush and fly the two up before Tails loses steam. They just barely make it out. And while they're clear out of that trouble, Tantrum says not so much, as Fleabite, gun at the ready, says their troubles are just starting. Oh, okay. Well, that's issue 75 done. Again, I don't know if British comics, I hope somebody in the comic section can, account me for this, but, I'm guessing that they don't follow the same conventions for, milestone comics that American comics do. Because normally this would be, kind of a big thing or something along those lines. It's just another comic.
It's funny that we mentioned this because we actually... Okay, so this is the only comic where I think anything actually happens. And it's a pretty big shift in Sonic the Comic's overall narrative. So let's just get into it.
Sonic the Comic, issue 76. Our first story, Kitching and Elsing once again. So, we see the caravan in the alley of Metropolis Zone, and inside Porker Lewis is about to tell the Freedom Fighters, hey guys, I'm outie. I'm done. I quit. And Sonic is like, bro, what do you mean you quit? We're in this fighting for survival against Robotnik. This isn't a game you can leave. But he's explaining, look, man, the Metallix, I was held prisoner for a month. That's way too much for a person like me to handle. And the guy is starting to tear up. And Sonic's like, yeah, you know what? You always were a soft guy. Maybe we're better off without you.
Okay, pause. This isn't even just I get it's the 90s. I get Sonic has attitude. But this is
far beyond. Far beyond.
Yeah. This is just him being a complete and total fucking asshole.
And you know what? Let's comment on that. It's been a pretty long while. There has been a bit of a tonal shift with Sonic. Now he's not being so much of a dick towards his friends. Now he's kind of gearing that towards his enemies, which is a good move. And even there's still some banter in that. But this is sort of we're in the older Fleetway Sonic now with that kind of attitude. And it's it just doesn't fit. I mean, maybe we do have the hindsight is 2020 kind of thing of we know what Sonic is now. And obviously the Sonic of today would never do something like this. But I feel even for Fleetway, this is a little bit too far.
It's one of those things where you can tell that they need to increase the drama and the tension. And they just do it in a way that doesn't actually mean anything.
It's there for the sake of being there, right? But, something interesting does come up here. The other Freedom Fighters, starting with Amy, they do stand up to Sonic saying, hey, leave the guy alone. Look at the state he's in. No one knows what he went through with the Brotherhood. You have no right to judge him, so just back off. And Tails and Johnny back her up, saying, yeah, you know what? You shouldn't be so rough on Porker. And Johnny assures him, you're not a coward, buddy. And Sonic is just You know what? Fine. He storms out of the caravan. If anybody else is tired of fighting for Mobius's freedom, just let me know, okay? And outside, he mutters to himself he still has the Chaotix as he sees them with Omni. Vector tells Sonic about Knack's escape from prison and going to the floating island, and they're gone as soon as we see them. So Sonic's like, dang it, alright. To which then, Sonic is turning around to go back into the caravan, but ends up taking a plasma shot to the back by some troopers, responding about an illegally parked caravan, and happen to hit the jackpot. So Amy and Johnny hurry to back up Sonic, as the troopers tell them hold still or the hedgehog gets it. So they calmly put down their weapons as ordered, and one of the troopers heads into the caravan to Porker's dismay. Sonic is able to get some bearings back, but he's a little concussed, so he can't get his accuracy, and is swatted away. Porker, sees everything outside, Sonic's getting owned, but he does have an idea with the power supply running through the caravan. Porker pulls out a live wire and puts it on a nearby puddle, the stream of which ends up electrocuting all of the troopers. While it is convenient, Sonic does give him his props. And the next morning, Sonic does not put up a fight and sees Porker off on good terms. He's going to go to the floating island and live with the rest of the Emerald Hill folk. In fact, Sonic even apologizes to Porker for calling him soft. Which,
wow.
You know what? We got it. We got character development.
Yeah, we got one. We got one, guys. We got one.
Oh, man. But honestly, Porker does stop him and says, Sonic, it's forgiven and forgotten. Besides, I am soft. Porker, buddy, shut up. You finally got Sonic to get humbled. You don't need to give him that. Well, either way, Sonic says he wouldn't want him any other way, and he's on the Tornado all packed up, ready to go, and Tails takes off on their way to the island. Now, let's comment on this. The reason why I put the order in the way it was is because this is kind of what was recommended to me by the reading order I have, but I think it also has to do partially with release order. So I'm thinking that this story, this comic, wherever this was meant to be printed a lot earlier.
Yeah, I think that was the intent as well. It's weird that Porker is just in the Emerald Hill Zone in the Knuckles Knockout special and 2 other stories, and then it's like, oh, well, how did he get there? Okay, now we're going to explain it. Anyways, I have one thing to say about this. I don't understand. I guess the writers couldn't find anything to do with Porker.
Probably. I mean, like we mentioned before, Amy's starting to get into that hacker role that Porker kind of played through, and look, if he's a bit of a redundant character, then, so be it. You gotta write him out, you gotta do what you gotta do, and you've established that he's not exactly a capable fighter as well. It's difficult. It is what it is.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like you could easily bring him more into the fold as the tech person, but I don't know. Him leaving the story, I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I don't really care. And I hate to say that, but Porker has not grown on me at all.
That's a coward. Unfortunate.
He's kind of a coward, and that was his whole bit. No, he's good with machines. It's like a worse version of Rotor.
Yeah.
On every level. And that's really unfortunate. I hate to say that and be rude, but
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. And it's unfortunate because I do like the original characters in Porker and Johnny as well. They all do have a lot of potential. I do feel like, if this is the end of it, that's a lot of potential that's squandered. That's all I can really say.
I think Johnny Lightfoot is next. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I think that he's going to be leaving next in some fashion, and it's going to be Sonic, Tails, Amy, and Knuckles.
And it is what it is, which is unfortunate. I mean, look, it is what it is. Well, that being said, let's move on to our Knuckles story again, Kitching and Dobbing. Plunder, the crew, and Knuckles. They are met by these ghost figures demanding that their idol to be returned to them. Knuckles is a little pissed at this turn of events. Plunder, you said the ship was deserted. What have you gotten us into, you stupid pirate? Plunder orders his crew to fight them off as he, Flitch, Knuckles, and Simpson take to the back. Yeah, this guy is still here, Simpson is, but thankfully he does not have many speaking roles, so we're all good here.
Thank God.
The crew don't stand a chance to these creatures and even try falling back to the floating island, but the ghosts cut the rope. Now, Knuckles has no idea what these things are, as Plunder explains that these things are the Tantor. No use fighting these monsters. So they go down below deck and they find a hatch on the floor, a place they think to hide. But Flitz checks his eyes and sees that inside here, there's a big group of people just chained to the floor. And Plunder does not understand what all these people are here for, but one of the people here says, listen, this ship is a slave ship. If this is a rescue, you guys are wasting your time. Nothing can save us from these monsters. And Knuckles thinks the only way they could do now is to stand their ground and fight. But Plunder, holding onto the idol, thinks, no, that may not be necessary. But the Tantor across the hatch, and Simpson's freaking out. They're caught and cornered now, and once again they demand the idol's return. But in Plunder's hands, it starts to glow, and they're shocked to see him operate the thing, and he tells the others stay close to him. And in this warm blue light, it all falls in, and they vanish. And suddenly they're on a dock in some unknown town. And Plunder tells Knuckles this idol here is a transportation device. And with this, I can be the most feared pirate on Mobius, and brought us right here. Which Knuckles asks, of course, where even are we?
Okay, I guess it's just a Chaos Emerald, Chaos Control trademark. I don't know.
Is this another Fleetway predicted it moment?
Maybe?
Well, the Tails and Tantrum shit. Let's get that over with. Stringer and Flint again. Tails and Tantrum caught by Fleabite. They're going to be marched to Robotnik. As Tails tells him, dude, Robotnik's definitely not going to honor this debt. He never does. But Fleabite is a bit of a hoper, a bit of a believer, and tells Tails, you watch what you say about our glorious leader. And Tails like, wow, I never thought I could meet someone stupid enough to believe Robotnik's side of the story, but alright. I gotta figure a way out of this. This kid's counting on me. So Fleabite starts dragging the truth through the desert, and Tails comments, man, if you were really a bounty hunter, you would have had, a horse or something. Tails thinks maybe now this could be his chance. His arms and legs are bound, but not my tails. He flies up and takes Tantrum and Fleabite with him. Fleabite threatens to blast him out of the sky and fires on him, but the blast misses his body, but grazes the rope, freeing Tails. Tantrum's still bound though. Fleabite lands on his feet, and the kid is held at gunpoint. Move, and the mouse gets one grandpappy of a headache. And Tails like, hey man, let's not do anything hasty. But Fleabite says, okay, surrender, or the trigger gets pulled. And Tantrum tells Tails, hey man, look, I'm really sorry. If I wasn't so selfish, you wouldn't have been in this situation. Just go save yourself, alright, man? But Tails just not letting anyone go, and tells him, just do what you did last time. Just scream. And the kid does it. The screaming is enough to cause a rock slide behind Fleabite, and the guy's knocked out. Okay, cool.
Extremely rare Tantrum W.
Quantifiably rare. Tails flies and brings Tantrum back to Metropolis, right back to his home. And the kid's mom thanks Tails for keeping her son safe and bringing him back. And even Tantrum's like, hey Tails, I had a lot of fun with you. You think I could be your partner, your second for more adventures? And Tails is like,
good one.
See, I gotta go bye. He flies off and is looking forward to be back with Sonic and the other freedom fighters. Whatever adventures they have is a doodle compared to looking after that mouse. What's the lesson here? Tails, my friend, do not be self-conscious about yourself. You are nowhere near as bad as that kid is. Well, we move things along in Sonic the Comic number 77, folks. Our story with Kitching and Elsing. Citadel Robotnik, we open there. Robotnik is once again mulding over Sonic's existence, constantly eludes him and why the folk were hidden from him, yada yada yada. Until Grimer tells him, hey, Robotnik, sir, someone's contacting you over your private video call number. And Robotnik's like, what the put him through then. What is this? And as it turns out, it was Sonic. Just thought you'd appreciate the call, buddy. What do you want, you spiked freak? I'm a busy dictator. And Sonic's just like, about that, you won't be for much longer. Your plans have come to nothing. The Death Egg was destroyed, the Metallix project flopped, face it, Robotnik, your days are numbered, and the call cuts out. Sonic literally just put, L.
Yeah, L plus ratio, plus your bald, plus your cringe.
He just, kind of one-guyed him in a Twitch chat and fucked off.
He one-guyed him.
Oh, man. So the call cuts off right as Grimer says, sir, disturbance in Sector Alpha 34. And Robotnik's like, wait, that's where the new statue was erected. And we see the citizens protesting this large stone statue of Robotnik. They're picketing around it, and one guy climbed up it and started defacing it with white paint. Dude, incredibly based. Based.
Incredibly based.
Then Robotnik calls in his troopers to break it all up. A trooper fires a shot at the guy atop the statue, and the force of which knocks him off, free-falling, only to get caught in the air by Tails. And of course, where Tails is, we find our boy Sonic the Hedgehog. He rushes in, breaks down the troopers, no time at all. A citizen tells Sonic, get out of there, the explosives have been set. With no time to react, the bombs go off, and the statue crumples to rubble, though Sonic and Tails are unharmed. The guy does thank Sonic for handling the troopers, and he mentions to Tails, with this, Robotnik is really losing his hold over the people of Mobius. I can feel it, man. So then Sonic gets on the rubble and addresses the crowd. Get out of here, guys. Robotnik's probably sending another SBS squad as we speak. Let's not push our luck. Back in the Citadel, Grimer tells Robotnik the protest is over and the statue can be replaced in a week, so there's no problem here. But Robotnik thinks the statue's irrelevant. This was a symbol of my power, and they dared to attack it. And then kind of throttles Grimer by the neck. You don't understand. They no longer fear me. But by the time I'm finished with them, they will tremble at the very mention of Dr. Robotnik. Okay, man. Okay, man. I mean, you know what? This is like a pretty good convention of like the story moving forward and showing the Freedom Fighters' efforts. I'll give him that.
Yeah, at the very least, there's like an attempt to show that, but then it's like, oh, okay.
I mean, again, like we've said it before, we'll say it again. The reduced page count really does not do this comic any favors.
Yeah, it's something.
Well, that being said, back to Knuckles, Kitching and Dobbin. Honestly, I'm enjoying this story a lot. This is like stupid, but it's very fun.
Yeah, no, it's dumb, but it's like actually kind of good.
All right, Kitching and Dobbin. Plunder, Knuckles, and the rest of the crew have been brought to a remote part of Mobius, known as Scourge Bay. They enter an old shack which belonged to Plunder, with Knuckles being rewarded for his help. He digs around an old chest, and Plunder was telling the truth. This is a chest full of documents pertaining to the floating island, and in fact, he thinks maybe even one of them could tell him where the echidnas went. Alright, deal's done, and Plunder's about to use the Idol of Tantaragor to teleport Knuckles back to the island, but not so fast, Knuckles says. We gotta get the prisoners from that ship. Obviously, they're from Mobius, we have to rescue them. But Plunder thinks like, what the fuck? This is a joke? Are you joking? We barely got off that ship, and have you forgotten about the Tantaror? Yeah, of course not. But Knuckles won't budge. I will drag you back, kicking and screaming all the way. And Plunder refuses, going as far as telling the crew, hold Knuckles down. Knuckles can hold his own in the swarm. One of the crew is about to give Knuckles the chair, but Plunder says, no, don't do that. That's my favorite chair. What's wrong with you? Simpson eggs the crew on, telling Reiner to can it, and hits him in the chaos, which leads Simpson to hit over the head with a 2x4. All right, so the crew is kind of like all handled now. Knuckles demands the idol. He and Plunder struggle for it and rolls out the window, and it lands in front of an old lady, which Plunder says is Zorabelle, the pirate queen, who she is very upset at Plunder for stealing the Idol of Tantaragor. She demands they get it out of here before they come looking for it, and then it suddenly starts to glow again. Plunder swears he's not doing it this time, and then suddenly the whole balcony of his home is like scooped up and warped away. In some empty void, met by a red giant floating creature in this like blank void, and Knuckles thinks, oh man, wherever we are, we sure are not on Mobius. Yeah, you think, you motherfucker? Where do you think?
Live Ancient Walker's reaction.
I'm telling you, man, this very well could have been Echidna lore. It very well could have been. We should...
But it's not. Thankfully, it's not. No Echidna lore. No Echidna lore.
Nigel Kitching, thank you. Thank you. I'm shaking your hand, Nigel Kitching.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for this.
All right, so story D. We still have like another story to follow. Stringer and Kitching. Stringer wrote and Kitching did the art. To be more clear, we see a village in the tropical jungle zone. People are living pretty peacefully until an explosion goes off in the middle of their town. One guy thinks it's a hurricane, but another thinks it could be behind Robotnik. Good guess. Robotnik praises Grimer for his new creation. Very effective. This new weapon he's boasting is unbeatable. Unlike the skunk we unleashed on the underground zone, if Sonic interferes, he's not going to know what hit him. A few hours later, Sonic and Tails arrive to the jungle zone. It seems like this place had a pretty wild party and you forgot to invite us. What do you mean, man? Well, a monkey says that, we couldn't even see what tore the village apart. There must be evil magical forces in this jungle. Cool it, man. The only thing that's magic around here is my personality. So the boys go to investigate.
Why is he like this, man?
It's definitely... You know what it is? It's the vibe of just sort of like, you meet a guy who's like kind of buff and has this attitude of like, I can do whatever I want because no one can kick my ass. That's kind of the vibe Sonic's giving me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sure something. I don't know, man.
They move into the jungle. They see the destruction of whatever caused this left behind, but they do find one of Robotnik's spy cameras in a tree. And then Sonic talks into the camera, telling Robotnik, you won't lose any lard by being a couch potato. Robotnik mauls over this, of course, and sends something in response. For what it is, they can't see it, but they can hear it moving towards them, barreling through the trees, and Sonic and Tails are caught in the debris. And Sonic thinks that this robot has a cloaking device, something that can turn it invisible. Robotnik used something like this before, but with worse results. Okay, well, where there's a will, there's a way, as Sonic runs toward the invisible robot, headbutts it, and is knocked out instantly. Tails figures with Sonic out, now he's gonna be next any second now. Okay, invisible robot, that's something, I guess.
Sure? Okay.
Okay. So that's that issue done. 78 now. Kitching and Elsing are for a story once again. Metropolis Zone. Things have just gone from bad to worse. Troopers breaking into people's homes, kidnapping people at random. Everyone's guilty of something or something of the sort. Robotnik is looming over the city from his balcony. He thinks the people think he's gone soft. He's got to crack down now, make people tremble at the thought of his name. In a poorer part of the city, people are waiting to be processed and roboticized, but Sonic, Amy, and Johnny fighting off the troopers, taking them out one by one to free the civilians. The people do recognize Sonic and Johnny, but also Amy thinking she's Sonic's girlfriend. That enough is just for Sonic to stop in his tracks like, whoa, she's not my girlfriend. You people need to stop thinking that. And is like about to rant about it, but Johnny's like, bro, this is not the time for this, man. And Sonic is like, no, yeah, you're right. Amy, can you just open the door? And she's like, yeah, of course, anything for you, sweetheart. Knock it off, Amy.
Bro is like, I do not want to deal with this right now. Piss off.
Amy laser cuts the bars down, and the civilians tell Sonic we need to get out of here before they get here. Who's they? Sonic asks. And behind them, there are two people keeping them contained. A creature of living electrons plasma, and the scientist seemingly controlling him, Arnim Abacus, a fucking Final Fantasy ass name if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, that is the most Final Fantasy name I've seen in a hot minute.
Robotnik put them in control of this district, and will be overjoyed to turn them into turn Sonic into him and collect the 2 million of reward money. But Sonic starts with the classic supersonic spin, but when he makes contact with plasma, basically electrocutes him. Contact won't work, so Sonic tries an air cyclone to rip him apart, but a being of pure energy, he can't really do anything, and fires a bolt of electricity to stop Sonic again. Amy helps Sonic up, encouraging him to keep fighting. I'm worried about you for a second. Empowered, he leaps back to punch Plasma again, and Amy goes behind Arnim, asking why are you not backing Sonic up? She says, no, I am. Punches him over the head and stomps on his remote. When she breaks it, it causes Plasma to dissipate. And Sonic is like a little bewildered as to what happened, but Amy applauds him. Is like, Sonic, you did it. You defeated that.
Why?
Amy, my girly pop, you need to respect yourself a little bit more.
Yeah, this is...
Come on.
The dialogue that comes up about this is so fucking...
So Sonic's like, I did. Well, I mean, of course I did. Yeah, Amy, this is why we never give up, right? She's like, yeah, you're right. You're so right, Sonic. You're so right, my king.
Fucking...
Oh, my God.
What is with the glazing right now?
Sonic is the last person that needs to be glazed, bro. Literally the last person.
Like, we're glazing him for no reason, I guess.
And Sonic's just like, I think we should just kind of get out of here, right? And Sonic goes on ahead, and Johnny asks Amy, why did you give Sonic the credit for defeating it? And Amy says, well, look, Sonic is the hope of the people. I think it's important that the people see Sonic as that hope, and I kind of do prefer to stay out of the public eye. Sonic takes the credit very well, as we can see, and he's shaking the hands of the people they released.
No, this is dog shit. Fuck that. I'm sorry. It's an organization. All of you are fighting for freedom. Why are you dick riding Sonic like this? Nah.
Amy, my girl, you need to respect yourself a little bit more. I get it. I don't blame you, but you're putting in the work too. You don't want to be in the limelight? Cool. You need to show your efforts matter too, Amy. Your efforts matter too. With that story through, what's going on with not Echidna lore?
I hope you guys like Indian adjacent depictions because holy shit.
Story B, Kitching and Dobbin. Knuckles, Plunder, and some of the pirates have found themselves transported in the Tantaragor's dimension and are met face to face with this like supreme being, I guess, and calls himself Ekletos, the spiritual leader of the Tantaragor. Identify yourselves. No one answers him. and demands they speak and say, how did the idol of Tantaragor come to your possession? And Plunder just is like, he hides it behind himself, like, I don't know, what's that? I don't know what that is. And Knuckles is like, bro, stop. This is not the time for that. Akledo says this is an unfortunate turn of events. A Plunder offering to return the idol for a deal. However, Akledo says, I did not intend to summon you, but rather those 3 heretics. And Knuckles thinks he's talking about those 3 they met back on the ship. And Akledo elaborates. Those 3 are followers of an evil priest by the name of Okamuro. He had recently died of a long illness, and his body was put in a stone coffin bound for the afterlife. They believe that their master must be buried in a sacred monument, and to build that, they needed slaves, intending to get them from Mobius. When he discovered their intentions, I remotely operated their transportation idol. But Knuckles adds they got the pirates instead of them. So Knuckles says we were on their ship, we found where they're slaves, and I want to go back to rescue them. So Akledos activates the idol and sends Knuckles, and only Knuckles, back to the ship to save the Mobians. Plunder, Flitch, and Zorabel were left behind, with her still pretty pissed at Plunder for getting them all into this. We see Knuckles now warp back into the slave hold and tells everyone to huddle together, I'll get you guys out of here. But one of the Mobians tells Knuckles it's too late, the Tantaror are already here, and behind Knuckles they stand, demanding they get the idol back or face the consequences. All right? High stakes, like that a lot.
Yeah, okay.
You see what I mean when I said this very well could have been a Kindle lore?
Like, it feels like it's right there on the precipice, but you know.
Let's finish up that invisible robot story from Stringer and Kitchen. In the jungle zone, Sonic and Tails still face off against this invisible robot, and Sonic is able to collect himself to get Tails before taking a hit. He's got a little bit of a headache, Sonic does, but the stomping and the smashing is not helping. They can't really see what they're up against and end up losing land, coming cliffside to a large body of water, but Sonic thinks right now this is just what we need. Sonic wants to lift up, not across the body of water, but along it. Tails lowers him to just over the edge of the water and speeds up his legs to splash the water to get the robot wet. He then uses wind to pick up leaves and grass with it sticking to its body. Now that they can see the robot, Sonic is able to give it the super spin, breaks the cloaking device, and now they can see their real body. Sonic barely misses a punch. Key and Tails give it a 1-2 combo. Really doesn't do much damage though. Robotnik's really starting to build them to last. But this thing is standing still, leg very damaged, and the weight of it causes the cliffside to crumble and falls like dead weight into the river. It getting wet fried its circuits. Let's call this another win for good old Sonic and Tails. Robotnik though watched this battle the whole time, saying that they only won by pure luck. Skill issue, Robotnik.
I guess skill issue.
Robotnik calls it a minor setback. He'll build an army. But Grimer says we got a little snag. There was a mishap with the cloning technology. There's, the plan, the cloning thing kind of turned invisible itself. I don't really know how to make it again. I'm sorry. It's really funny, the cloning stuff, right? Robotnik is pissed, and Grimer tells himself, now I gotta disappear. So that is our second to last issue. Now we go on to our final comic for this round. Sonic the Comic number 79. Our first story, Kitching and Corona. We've now, I guess another month has now passed since the Metallix incident. The Miracle Planet has returned, still bearing the terraformation of the Metal Sonic head. Sonic is looking around on the planet's surface, commenting if we hadn't stopped the Brotherhood, they could have done this to all of Mobius, and is called over by Amy and Johnny, looking at a giant pillar. According to Kintabor, this is the Alpha device, grown from the size of a staff. Kintabor's plan is to introduce a new subroutine into the device, which in Sonic's words will basically run in reverse and hopefully change the Miracle Planet back to normal. Johnny scales up the device looking for a place to plug in the cable, but Sonic out of the corner of his eye sees a shadow moving. His instincts demand that Sonic follows it, Amy reminding him the Metallix were all defeated, but he's itching for action, going deeper and deeper into the mess of pipes, and finds a red Sonic Metallix model, seemingly the last one, and Sonic goes in to attack it. The Metallix recovers, kicks Sonic off of him, and just makes a break for it. Sonic thinks that this must have been the runt of the litter, probably why your friends left you behind. Johnny and Amy see in the distance Sonic chasing after this Metallix, and he drop kicks it in the back, just about to take a broken piece of metal and stab it through the chest. And the Metallix is like begging for mercy, basically, like, don't make me do this, and releases energy from its chest cannon, blasting Sonic off its body. It gets back up and says, Sonic, are you okay? I only used the low power setting for the cannon. And Sonic's like, well, yeah, I'm okay, but what kind of Metallix are you? I'm not. But Amy from a distance figures the Metallix is about to go in from the kill, gets her one shot, fires an armor-piercing arrow dead center to its head. As the Metallix takes its head off, in disguise is a Mobian. And Sonic quickly sees that an arrow is coming in for its head, and Sonic does bullet time, grabs the arrow out of the air, and puts it behind him, and lets the Mobian explain himself. This guy says he was captured by the Metallix for experimentation. This is the first time that the planet came back since the Metallix were defeated. I want to just go home. And so I saw people coming up to the chain, I panicked, and I ran back to disguise myself in case you were all more Metallix. Johnny and Amy come to check everything out, and Amy asks where that arrow went. And Sonic is still holding it behind his back, saying, what do you mean, arrow? I mean, I guess something flew past me, but I don't know, man. But she's like, what are you talking about, man? Like, I was right on target. What are you talking about? But Sonic's like, I don't know. I didn't see nothing. Maybe you got to get more practice in. Sonic, that's a little, all right. Anyway, the sun begins to set, and Sonic leads the guy and the other Freedom Fighters back to Mobius. It'll take about a month for the Alpha device to change everything back anyway. But Amy still does not understand what happened to my shot. I know I could not have missed. Well, you know what? Better than having a dude impaled. Now, folks, are you ready for the finale of this Knuckles story?
It sure is a finale!
Kitching and Dobbing, again. The heretics are demanding their idol back, and Knuckles is told by the captives he's doomed himself by coming back. And maybe he has, Knuckles thinks, but nothing's stopping me from trying. Knuckles takes an energy shot from like the Anubis-looking one, and it demands the idol once again. Knuckles protects it with his body, but these creatures have magical powers beyond their understanding, and his hand phases through Knuckles' body, takes the idol through Knuckles, as we see Knuckles just curled in fetal position, mentally shocked. Don't have time to deal with that. With the idol, they can now return to their home dimension. The Echidna will make a fine addition to the slaves, but they notice the idol is not responding. And Knuckles sees that the ship is starting to shudder. The fabric of it is kind of ripping apart, as the Anubis one realizes the reason that the idol didn't work is because they're already back in their home dimension, being beckoned by a Kratos, admitting he used Knuckles as bait to distract them long enough to bring him back. And I do apologize to you, Knuckles. This was the easiest solution.
What the fuck is going on?
Yo! So, like, folks, this is kind of why these stories are, like, really fucking funny, because it feels like we just stumbled into something that we should not have seen.
Okay.
Like, think about this. What would Knuckles do with this knowledge? The fact there's an alternate dimension of, like, I guess half evil, half good, like, energy beings which worship their gods? Like, what could Knuckles do, and what could Knuckles and Plunder do with that information? Really nothing.
Jesus. I don't have any words, man.
Kratos says it is forbidden to capture creatures of other worlds. Their punishment will be most severe, and release the captured Mobians back to Plunder's house and sends them all back to Mobius, idol still in Knuckles' hand. While back at Scourge Bay, Plunder demands the idol from Knuckles, but he sees, I don't got it, man. I guess Kratos decided to hang on to it. So Plunder decides to renege on the deal. No idol, no floating idol documents. But the Pirate Queen steps in and says, no. No more tomfoolery. As Pirate Queen, I decree, Knuckles, you've more than earned your keep. Take the chest. Then the imprisoned Mobians are free to go. As Knuckles takes the chest, he leads the people out. Zorobel asked her boys, get one of my Knuckles dusters. I gotta teach Plunder here a few more lessons. Alright, so our badass grandma is about to beat Plunder's shit in. Happy ending, I guess.
I have no words, man.
And hey, look.
I just...
At least Knuckles now has the full document notes of the floating island. He can now understand their spaghetti code. Massive W.
Wow. Will he understand the spaghetti code of Final Fantasy XIV while we're at it?
I wonder what his specs on that computer are. You think he games?
Nah, bro doesn't game. Bro is an internet browser only.
Oh man, and it's of course like a Internet Explorer.
Oh my god, don't even get me started.
Anyway, Stringer and Corona for a sea story now. The Aquatic Ruin Zone. Tails was sent here to investigate rumors of new badniks being sent here, and instantly gets ambushed by a flying spider-looking thing. Tails says since he's on his own, Normally it would be an issue, but maybe he can handle it. Until the Badnik fires a web on his tails and plummets headfirst into a bush. His tails are now stuck together. He can't fly, and the only thing he can do is make a break for it, as the Badnik starts firebombing his area. The Badnik calls itself a spider moth, made by Brutus, the soon-to-be new ruler of Mobius. Tails is like, that sounds interesting. Brutus is planning a revolution. I hope Sonic and the others are doing alright. But that aside, Tails is barely dodging the bombs. Even attempting to fly is a no-go. The webbing really has stuck his tails together. So Tails gets creative, gets some vines to pull back a palm tree in the hope of just swatting the Badnik away. He needs a little more pull, but the vine has too much pressure on it and snaps, and launches Tails into the air right into the Spider-Moth's flight path. So he thinks fast and scraps the Badnik in midair. Cool, one problem down, but now he's about to land into the lake, submerged right next to a chomper Badnik. The webbing is slowing Tails' swimming speed and just barely misses getting bitten, but the chomp does cut the webbing off. Alright, cool, Tails is freed, swims up, flies out, and decides to go straight to Metropolis. If what that Badnik says is true, the Freedom Fighters are in some serious trouble. And 3 stories has been the norm, but for this one issue, we've got 4 stories, and we are following up on what's going on here.
Yes, sir.
Stringer and Kitching, our creative team. Speaking of Metropolis, Robotnik sends in a Badnik attack, really just kind of for fun and for good measure. People running for their lives, nowhere safe on Mobius anymore. Where is Sonic when you need him? And on cue, Sonic arrives, Amy and Johnny backing him up. They're dodging laser fire, hits a Buzz Bomber with a spin attack. Johnny whacks one out just before Amy can fire one upon her. It kind of takes a hit from somewhere else. They look up, and in the sky, there's a lot of more fucked up looking Badniks fighting the Robotnik Badniks, and it does look like they're on their side, but not really. Johnny says, no wait guys, I've seen this before. These Badniks are loyal to Brutus. With Robotnik's Badniks done, now it's our turn to be handled. Sonic takes one Badnik out, distracting many others, as Johnny and Amy are now being lorded over a massive ship flying overhead. And out this ship steps Brutus. After months of planning, this is the day of a revolution. The day I become ruler of Mobius. And I'm not going to let 2 hedgehogs and a skinny rabbit stop him. And Johnny's like, hey man, I'm athletic, not skinny. Alright man. Sonic imagining that old Egg Breath must not be too happy about the situation. And speaking of Robotnik, we watch everything on his cameras and has now fully declared war on Brutus. Grimer, rally the troops. Sonic charges in, saying if he thought that Mobius would be better under Brutus, I'd help you take out Robotnik. But I get the feeling it'd be 10 times worse. And Brutus mocks Sonic, saying, only 10 times worse? I intend to increase pollution across the world to destroy all non-robotic life forms. Sonic obviously takes that threat seriously, hits Brutus, but bounces off his armor. He can only damage him as Super Sonic, and Sonic's like, that can happen only when I really lose my cool, but it might be worth it to take it down, you creep. But Brutus won't even give him the chance. He upgraded his arm blaster to match his speed, fires directly on Sonic, knocking him out cold. Amy rushes to him as Brutus declares himself victorious over the Outlaws. The Freedom Fighters are my prisoners, and with Sonic out, no one can stop me now. That is the end of issue 79. That's the end of all of our comics today. And hey, look, was this a fantastic set of issues? Not necessarily. I think this was better above average than what we normally get. I'll make that argument. And hey, at least we ended off on a good cliffhanger for next time.
Yeah, because I have a feeling this is about to get very fucked up very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially like we mentioned before, Brutus. His inferiority complex being second in command, now he's finally going to get that comeuppance. I'm looking forward to see how that plays out, definitely.
We will see. We will see.
And hey, also, Knuckles got the Spaghetti Code documents, so maybe we will find out more about the Echidnas. We've been following this, potential thread of the Echidnas being somewhere else. That's basically been Knuckles' only plot thread so far. I feel like there is gonna be some kind of resolution to that. Maybe not, big, bold resolution, but there's something to that.
Yeah, something in some form. We will see.
Yeah, but hey, look. I contend, not the strongest stories we've got, but this is still pretty strong overall. Knuckles' story, pretty solid. The Tails stuff, a little bit of a miss, but that's okay. The Sonic stories were them. They were Sonic stories, they were what I expected, so be it. I think on that note, I think we're kind of done here, don't you think?
I think we're done.
Yeah,
I'm very tired.
Yeah, me too. But hey, look, I have been told from one of our patrons that issue 80, the 80s issues, is where things really do start to pick up. So, if that's true, and I believe him, I'm very, very looking forward to the next stories.
Let's see.
Yeah, we'll see, actually, because, oh, look at that. So for the next issues that I've got storied up here, we're going to be doing the Sonic Holiday Special 1996 and issues 80 through 86. So, okay, maybe we'll really get into the good stuff next episode.
We shall see. Get hype!
Get hype, guys. Remember, subscribe, like the video if you liked it on YouTube, patreon.com/SonicSpeed, 7-day free trial across all of our tiers, $2 a month, episodes early, and we've been doing a new round of Another Side, Another Story. We just started watching Sonic X, and let me tell you folks, this last episode, a banger. This was the strongest 3 episodes of really any Sonic cartoon we've seen thus far, wouldn't you agree?
Yes, it was fantastic. Sonic X slaps. We're really, really, really excited to see the rest of this.
And remember, we are watching the Japanese version, so, there's a little push up in quality compared to the 4Kids version. Let's leave it at that.
Little is an understatement.
You get that at $2 a month. $5 a month is all that and our pre-shows. $15 a month, all that, plus a video version of the podcast, folks. So, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Patrons, thank you for subscribing. And we will see you next time for, I think, a new long-form story that Fleetway Sonic will be following. I feel it in my bones.
See you guys then.